my mom. I was scrolling through social media when I got a notification from Facebook. Someone had tagged me in a post. When I opened to check, there seemed to be an issue, and since then, Facebook on my phone just kept stopping. I could not see what the post was. I forgot about it, and afterwards, I did not think to check again. As I was on my bed, scrolling through my phone, my mom called me for dinner. I was scared of her, so I stood up from the bed and immediately went downstairs to the dining room. My siblings had already reached the table and were sitting in their seats in complete silence, except for Finn, who wasn't there. I went ahead and took my seat as well. Mom had made potato pie for dinner, and it was a dish she made when she was extremely annoyed or angry at something. I did not dare to speak or talk, so I followed her command, and we all started to eat. My name is Kara Dominic. I'm a 16-year-old girl, the eldest among our 4 siblings. Mom had me with her first boyfriend when she was just a teenager. 2 years younger than me was Finn, who was conceived through a sexual act of crime by her uncle. She ran away from home after that and raised me and Finn in Kentucky. And that was when she met a man and fell in love with him. 4 years later, when she was pregnant with Abigail and Adriel, she found out that the man was cheating on her with a different woman. She cut all ties with him, but after the birth of my twin siblings, she started having anger issues. At first, she managed to put the anger under control, but slowly it went out of control, and she started raising her hands at Finn. I was the second victim of her beating a month after she started beating Finn. One day when we saw that Mom was angry over the twins for something and was about to beat them, I went ahead and took blame for it on myself. The twins had broken a flower vase that Mom used to treasure, but when asked, they started lying, so Mom started to get angry, and that was when I saw them. I went ahead and told her that it was accidentally broken by me. She looked at me with anger and started punching me in the face, along with cursing me. When she was done hitting me, I went to my room and started to cry. After I was done cleaning the wounds, I went to my bed and started scrolling through Facebook. Finn and I were already facing abuse, but I did not want my 10-year-old brother and sister to go through the same thing. So after that, whenever something like that happened, either Finn or I stepped up to take the punishment instead of them. The extent of those punishments kept increasing. She started to pour hot water on us with anger. She kept punching us until we passed out, and even starved us on a measure of punishment. Anyway, as we were silently eating, I was thinking about Finn. It was not like him to do that, and all I could think about was that God had mercy on him and spare him from Mom's anger. For some reason, the twins looked terrified, as if they'd seen a ghost or something. Mom was quiet the entire time and did not speak a word, nor did she scold us for anything. Which was weird because she would always keep cursing us throughout lunch and dinner. Still, I was a bit relieved to be in a peaceful environment for once, so after finishing up my meal, I went directly to my room. I was still unable to open Facebook as it kept stopping. That morning, when I went to the kitchen to get something to eat, my mom scolded me again and told me that we were banned from entering the kitchen ever again. It was a bit weird, but I still followed her orders because they never made sense to me anyway. More than a week went by and Phil still hadn't gotten back from wherever he'd gone. One thing that was even more surprising was that Mom hadn't mentioned his name, not even once in those past days, even though there was a chance that he'd run away from all the torture and punishment. But still, I started to feel worried about him. Just like this, 2 months passed by. Mom's punishments were still extreme as ever. After Finn was gone, I wasn't able to protect the twins as before, and they would also start to get their own beatings occasionally. One night when I was scrolling through Facebook and looking at tagged photos, I saw one photo of the refrigerator which was taken in the kitchen. I could not understand who tagged me in this photo and how in the hell did they take this. No one in the house had a phone besides Mom and me, so no one else could do that. One night when I was sleeping, I heard the twins screaming along with Mom's voice, who was cursing them in the same way that she had poured hot water over me and kicked and punched me. So I did not have enough courage to go ahead and get punishment for them this time, even though I was feeling guilty from hearing them cry and beg for mercy. I still stayed curled up in my bed while whimpering. The next morning, the first thing I saw was Adriel's swelled up face, but Abigail was nowhere to be seen. Adriel was silent, and he seemed traumatized, and I thought that it must be because of the beating from last night. The twins' bedroom was next to Mom's, and I was thinking that Abigail must be in her room. I left the matter just like that. So the following evening, when my mom wasn't home, I thought of sneakily going to the kitchen and checking the refrigerator because the post from earlier was still lingering on my mind. When I opened the refrigerator, I fell backwards from what I had just seen. Abigail's dead body was pulled over Finn's body. I closed the refrigerator and ran to Adriel's room. I took him and ran out of the house and just kept running until we reached the police station. After reporting the crime, officers searched the house and found the bodies of my 2 siblings. My mom was also arrested the moment she stepped foot into the house. As the trial began, she admitted to killing Finn and Abigail and then putting them into the refrigerator. The reason she gave for killing Finn was that he was growing up. He started to look more and more like his rapist father, which triggered her trauma again and again. She started to see her abuser in Finn and eventually ended up killing him. She said that she did not mean to kill Abigail, but as she was beating them, Abigail fell unconscious and never woke up. She was finally sentenced to 120 years of prison for no possible parole for the crimes of domestic violence on all of her children, and then the murder of 2 of them. I still have no clue about the person who posted that picture on Facebook and then tagged or how they even took it in the first place, but I'm glad that they did. My only regret is that I could not see it in the day that Finn went missing, because if I did, I could have saved my sister Abigail from that horrible fate.
Hey guys, thanks so much for all the support. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please feel free to do so.
My missing crush. What happened to your online store, Emma? I asked. Nothing much. I have set it up, but promoting it is an issue, she replied with a tired voice. But I thought you said you had enough money for that, I said again, reminding her of this. Yes, that was when I did not know how much it was going to cost. Promotional stuff is more expensive than I thought. She again looked at me with tired eyes, and that's when I got an idea. Why don't you try self-promoting? I can help you with that, I suggested. What? Will you? Really? She held my hand and asked me while looking into my eyes. That's what I just said, I said, and it made her happy. We decided to come up with a few strategies to do the self-promotion and then meet the next day at a coffee shop near my office. The next day after work, I got earlier at the coffee shop and waited for Emma to show up. About 50 minutes later, she walked to the table I was at and sat across me. She looked pretty in the green dress that she was wearing. Anyway, as we were sipping our coffees, we started to discuss just what we would be doing to self-promote this thing. I suggested we started by sending out messages to everyone we know and use social media to promote the store, since social media could attract most of the customers into visiting Emma's website. Facebook was my primary suggestion because it is the biggest platform that has the largest audience among other social media platforms. I had to set up a page and start promoting the store. I told her not to worry too much about it, for I would take care of setting up the pages and everything that they needed. After finishing up the discussion and the coffee, I asked to drop her home and she agreed to. For those of you who are wondering about me, my name is Eden Miller. Emma and I have been childhood friends and I've always had a crush on her. But she only saw me as a friend and nothing more. I did not want to ruin our relationship, so I never told her how I felt. We graduated from the same high school, and after that, Emma got into fashion design in college, while I chose business management. During the second year of college, she got into her first relationship, which made me feel devastated, but to my relief, they broke up within a few months. Emma had always been working part-time jobs even when we were in high school and saving up money. And after graduating from college, she decided to open up her online clothing store. Even though I told her that I would help her financially if she needed it, she never asked for my help. So it was finally my chance to prove myself to her. After dropping Emma off at her house, I went to my apartment and despite my busy schedule, I started working on the Facebook page for her online store. I asked all my friends to spread the word about the store, and they were pretty nice to do that. After setting up the page, I started uploading frequent posts regarding the online store, products, and things of the sort. A week went by and the response was slow, but I was positive that it would increase over time. I guess Emma was too eager for it to get successful. She called me one day and told me that as she was uploading some stories related to her store, She got a message on Facebook from a stranger. The stranger told Emma that he could help the store become a success in no time and asked her to meet somewhere for further discussion. I told her that there are many such scams on Facebook, so be careful, and despite my asking her to reveal the address where he asked to meet her, she did not tell me about it. Emma, who used to tell me every little detail of whatever she was up to, was not telling me something as important as this. It made me feel anxious for some reason. I felt that something was definitely off about this. I tried contacting her, but she turned her phone off, which made me even more worried. As time was passing, I started feeling this tightness in my chest because her number was still off. I drove to her house and found it locked. I started pacing back and forth in front of her house waiting for her. Hours passed, and the darkness of the night had started to spread, but there was still no sign of her. I sat in front of her house all night long and was so worried that I started to cry because her phone was still off and I had no idea where she was. The next morning, the very first thing I did was file a missing person report for her. And after that, I asked one of my friends who was a hacker to hack Emma's Facebook, ID, and track the person account who had sent the message. He called me back 4 hours later and informed me that the account Emma was talking to was a fake one. I got even more worried and started to panic. Police began to search and investigation, but they had no clues to find Emma. It was like the man did not leave any traces behind to follow. 2 more days passed, and there was still no sign of her. And that was when my hacker friend called and informed me that there has been a new post made by Emma on her Facebook account. He sent me the picture, and it was Emma wearing a blue dress and smiling, which I could tell was forced because after crushing on her for so long, I could tell when she would be smiling truly or when she gave us a fake smile. After looking at this picture very carefully and closely, it seemed that she had bruises on her neck, which were covered up with makeup, and her eyes looked puffy as well. I zoomed in on the picture and tried to recognize the surrounding. It seemed like a nightclub in Western Town. I updated the police about the details and headed to the nightclub. The officers reached there before me and asked about the girl in the picture. The employees denied seeing her. As we were asking around, one of the employees admitted to seeing her with a man. They requested CCTV footage, and in the footage, it could be seen that a man came in with her, but they left just after taking a picture of her. Emma looked like she was getting forced into doing all that, and the way she was walking seemed weird. The guy looked somewhat familiar to me, I just couldn't quite put my finger on it. As I tried remembering the guy, something in my mind clicked, and I remember that Emma showed me a picture of this guy when she was in college. He was her ex-boyfriend, Derek. I guess I never told you why Emma broke up with him. It was because he was manipulating her. He was aggressive, and he started to raise hands on her while making up his assumptions. Anyway, I told officers about the guy and they immediately went and started tracking his whereabouts. He was soon arrested in his house, and the interrogation started. He tried to act as if he did not know anything about it, and then he told the officers that he hadn't even seen Emma for years. But when they told him that they know that he had kidnapped and hidden her somewhere against her will, he finally opened his mouth. Emma was found locked in one of the warehouses that was owned by him, and she was in a terrible state. He used to beat her, rape her, and do horrible things to her which made her traumatized. She was sent to the hospital for treatment and recovery while Derek was locked up in prison, and trials were held against them after that. I don't know how she managed to endure all these tortures and sufferings, but now that she was found, I promised myself that I would never let anything happen to her again.
The incident I'm about to tell you still haunts me to this day. It happened to me when I was still in high school. A new game was in the craze at the time, Dragon Age Inquisition. It was a 4-player life simulation game. In that game, the player had to take on the role of one of the 4 Inquisition. They were dispatched to eliminate either a cohort of Venatori, a battalion of Red Templars, a swarm of Darkspawn, a pack of demons, or a Katam and Kanari that had taken control of an area. Every location had 5 zones, and once the players completed the first 4 zones, the agents had to face enemies led by the enemy commander, either Calpurnia, Samson, or Emissary Alpha, an Envy Demon, or Sereth, depending on which faction they are fighting. Once the final wave of enemies was killed, the match ends victoriously. I was obsessed with that game, and often used to go to the nearby gaming cafe to play it. I used to play this game for hours, and after I was finished playing, I used to open my Facebook account and post my progress of it. I often played with different players, but there was one guy with name of Hunter Z309 whom I played most of my games with. We even used to talk using dialogue wheel. One day after the game, I logged into Facebook and uploaded my progress post. After that, I clicked the messages of others and went to check notifications. Someone had tagged me in a post, and the person who tagged me was unknown to me. So I checked the post, and there was a picture of me sitting in the cafe playing Dragon Age. The picture was taken 2 days ago. I recognized the outfit from that day. I looked around. Everyone was busy on their own. Surprisingly, he was in my friends list, and I had no idea when I added him. I did not think much of it at the time, but slowly it started to increase. I was tagged in more pictures of me. I had no idea who it was and when did he take my picture. I messaged him, saying it's rude to take pictures of others and upload it without permission. He instantly replied, "I'm sorry, I'll take it down." And after that, all the posts with my pictures were deleted from his account. I was relieved, but I was still not sure about him taking my pictures again. I messaged him saying not to do this anymore, but I should have been a little more specific about it. The next day, when after playing game, I checked my Facebook. The pictures were sent into my inbox and they were from the same day. I looked around and shouted, "Who is it?" Everyone started looking at me with confusion, so I couldn't recognize who it was. I texted him to stop it, but there was no reply. The pictures kept increasing day by day, so I complained about it to the cafe owner. But even after that, it did not stop. And along with the pictures of me being in the cafe, other pictures that were downloaded from my Facebook and were edited in nude models' bodies started to come. I was extremely worried about it and had no idea what to do. I thought of telling my parents about it, but since I used to come here by the excuse of going to the library, I was really scared, so I stopped going to the cafe. But it still did not stop. He started sending threat messages to me, along with the pictures of new models with my face edited on it. One day, he sent me a picture of a nude model in a weird pose and asked me to send him my picture in that pose. I immediately blocked him and deactivated my Facebook account. I locked myself inside my room and stopped going anywhere. My parents started to worry about me and started to ask questions. I had no courage to tell them about it after lying to them so much. I was depressed. After a few days, one of my friends sent me a picture that was going viral and told me that it was my picture. I checked and it was the same picture with that nude model in that pose, but with my face edited to it. I immediately told her about everything. She said I should tell my parents about it before they find such pictures from somewhere else and report this. I stomped back and forth in my room, arguing subconsciously to myself if I should tell them or not. What if they start to yell? What if they don't even talk to me anymore? What if they kick me out of the house? And what if they don't want me anymore? All what-if questions were roaming around in my mind. Somehow, I managed to gather enough courage to tell them about it and come clean. When we were all having dinner, I approached them, saying, "I need to tell you guys something." Their focus went toward me, and I started to tell them everything. I told them about how I used to go play games and not library and how I ended up with a cyber stalker. I thought that they would be disappointed in me, but that wasn't the case. They looked at me with a concerned look, and my mother spoke. "We know, honey, about you going to the cafe. We let you be because we know you study hard." My parents told me not to worry and they will take care of it. They went there and reported it to the cyber police department. The investigation started and they tracked the source of the post and messages. It turned out to be the cafe owner's son, and he was also the one who used to play with me online. All the posts that were uploaded by him, along with the viral ones, were completely taken down from the internet. I was relieved. But the next day when I went to school, I felt like everyone was staring at me and gossiping about me. Everyone was talking about what happened to me. My friends started to avoid me. But still, somehow I managed to finish my school and started preparing for college. Even to this day, sometimes people recognize me from the viral picture and ask me about it. It has become a habit of mine to ignore such people.
I'm a fisherman in Greece, and sorry for my English, but Bretta helps me learn more every day. So I'll tell my story. In a way, it's kind of a ghost story, but there are no real ghosts in it. But to me, it's more haunting than any story of evil spirits that throws things around the room or appears in the dark of night. And I hope you understand why very soon. So we're heading out to sea, and it's a very beautiful day. The sun is shining, there's very little wind, and the sea is nice and calm. During rough sea, there's a lot of work to do. But when it starts to calm down, there's not as much work to do. So me and a crewmate are leaning over the edge of the boat, smoking cigarettes and talking football. And that's when I see a child's backpack floating on the water, one with a little cartoon character on it. It's not unusual to see such things floating on the sea from time to time. But a minute later, I see a child's shoe floating on top of the water. Then my friend moves to the front of the boat and points off into the distance. More and more bags and backpacks and shoes. All kind of personal items are floating on the water surface in a big collection. At first, I think that someone had just dumped a lot of trash into the sea, which starts to make me angry. I'm sure many of you would be angry at saying that. But then picture yourself seeing the first body floating lifelessly on the water, and then the next body, then another, until you see the fourth body is much smaller than the others, and you realize you're looking at a child. Apart from a few murmured curse words and crossing ourselves while we pray, we were totally silent as we passed the bodies. Only the sound of the waves lapping against the boat could be heard, and seeing how some of the bodies were bloated and discolored made me feel like I might vomit. You see, this is in the summer of 2015, when a lot of people from Libya were trying to cross the Mediterranean in small dinghy boats. The traffickers, who they paid a lot of money to, only cared about getting paid. And they didn't care about if the migrants actually landed in Greece or not. They just cared about money. So lots and lots of them were dying when their boats sank and they can't swim. The worst thing though, it wasn't just one floating graveyard that I encountered. It was 3. We even saw one dinghy being turned away by a Greek coast guard when the boat was already full of water. I never found out what happened to them. But I pray that they're all safe and okay, somewhere. I understand it's a complicated political situation, but innocent children lost their lives. And I see these children with my own eyes. It's easier to forget the phases of my childhood friends than forget these. And when children are dying like that, it's hard to understand why we don't help them. When I'm just a simple fisherman, I do my job, I come home, try not to think too much. But I am a fisherman that has been haunted by ghosts, and not the kind from storybooks. These are very real.